In the bustling heart of a small-town cafe, where the aroma of fresh coffee mingled with the chatter of everyday folks, a loud smack echoed through the air like a thunderclap. A burly man, his face twisted in rage, had just slapped a quiet, unassuming father sitting at a corner table with his young son. The cafe fell silent, all eyes on the scene. The bully sneered, "That's what you get for bumping into me, you pathetic loser. Watch where you're going next time." The father, rubbing his reddened cheek, didn't flinch or fight back. He simply looked up with calm eyes and said, "I'm sorry, sir. It was an accident." But what the bully didn't know was that this pathetic loser was no ordinary man. He was Sergeant Major Elias "Ghost" Harlan, a retired Delta Force legend whose hands had toppled tyrants and saved countless lives in the shadows of the world's deadliest battlefields. And this slap? It was about to unravel a story of hidden strength, unbreakable love, and the true meaning of heroism. Elias Harlan had always been a man of few words, even before the military molded him into a ghost. Growing up in a rough neighborhood in Chicago, he learned early that survival meant blending in, observing, and striking only when necessary. His father left when he was 5, leaving his mother to scrape by on 2 jobs. Elias became the man of the house young, fixing leaky roofs and protecting his little sister from the street toughs. But life threw its hardest punch when he was 18, his mother died of cancer, and his sister spiraled into addiction. He enlisted in the army to escape the pain, but it found him anyway. Delta Force selected him after Ranger School, where his uncanny ability to remain invisible earned him the nickname Ghost. For 20 years, he operated in the blackest ops. Rescuing hostages in Somalia, dismantling terror cells in Afghanistan, and extracting allies from behind enemy lines in Iraq. He was a legend in whispers, the kind of operator whose file was redacted even from the redactions. Retirement came abruptly 5 years ago, after a mission gone sideways. His team was ambushed in Syria, he lost 2 brothers in arms, and a bullet shattered his knee. The doc said he'd never run again, but Elias walked out of the hospital on sheer will. Back home, he met Sarah, a kind-hearted teacher who saw past his scars. They married, had little Tommy, and for a brief, golden time, life felt normal. But fate wasn't done with him. Sarah was diagnosed with the same cancer that took his mother. She fought for 2 years, but in the end, Elias held her hand as she slipped away, leaving him a single dad to a 4-year-old boy who looked just like her. Now, at 45, Elias lived quietly in this sleepy town, working as a mechanic to pay the bills. He volunteered at Tommy's school, coached Little League, and avoided crowds. Violence was a ghost from his past, he wanted peace for his son. That morning in the cafe started like any other. Elias and Tommy were grabbing breakfast before school, a ritual Sarah had started. Tommy, now 6, with his mother's bright blue eyes and curly hair, was chattering about his science project on volcanoes. "Dad, can we get chocolate chip pancakes? Mom used to say they're like lava cakes." Elias smiled faintly, his heart aching at the mention of Sarah. "Sure, buddy. Lava cakes it is." As they waited in line, Elias accidentally brushed against the burly man ahead of them. The guy, a local hothead named Brock Tanner, was already in a foul mood. Brock ran a construction crew, but rumors swirled he bullied his workers and picked fights at bars. "Watch it." Brock snarled, shoving Elias back. Elias steadied himself, careful not to spill Tommy's juice. "My apologies," he said evenly. But Brock wasn't satisfied. He followed them to their table, looming over Elias. "You think you can just bump into me like that? In front of my crew?" He gestured to 2 cronies snickering nearby. Tommy clutched his dad's arm, eyes wide with fear. "Dad." The slap came fast, Brock's meaty palm connecting with Elias's face. Gasps rippled through the cafe. The owner, Mrs. Jenkins, an elderly woman who'd known Elias since he moved to town, reached for her phone to call the police. But Elias raised a hand, signaling her to wait. His cheek stung, but it was nothing compared to the shrapnel wounds he'd endured. What hurt more was seeing Tommy's lower lip quiver. "It's okay, son," Elias whispered, pulling Tommy close. Brock laughed. "Yeah, hide behind your kid, wimp. Single dads like you are all talk." The words cut deep. Elias had heard them before, from judgmental neighbors who pitted him or questioned his ability to raise Tommy alone. But he swallowed his pride, remembering Sarah's last words, "Be the light for him, Elias. Not the shadow." He stood slowly, facing Brock. "Sir, I don't want trouble. Please, just leave us be." Brock's cronies egged him on. "Show him who's boss, Brock." The bully grabbed Elias by the collar, pulling him close. "Or what? You gonna cry to your mommy?" Elias's mind flashed to a dozen ways he could end this: a quick elbow to the throat, a knee to the groin, techniques honed in Delta's kill houses. But he glanced at Tommy, who was trembling. "No," he thought. "Not like this." Instead, he spoke softly, "I'm asking you one last time. Walk away." Brock shoved him back into the chair, spilling coffee everywhere. The cafe patrons murmured, some pulling out phones to record. Mrs. Jenkins dialed 911 quietly. Tommy burst into tears. "Stop hurting my dad." That's when something shifted in Elias. Not rage, but resolve. He wiped the coffee from his shirt and stood again, this time with a presence that filled the room. Brock swung a punch, but Elias sidestepped it effortlessly, his bad knee protesting but holding. The bully stumbled, surprised. "What the?" Elias didn't strike back, he disarmed Brock with words. "You don't know me, friend. But I know men like you. Angry at the world, taking it out on folks who won't fight back. I get it, life's hard. But hurting a man in front of his kid? That's low." Brock roared and charged, but Elias pivoted, using Brock's momentum to trip him gently onto the floor. No broken bones, just a bruised ego. The cronies froze, unsure. By now, the police arrived, 2 officers who knew Elias from community events. "Everything all right here, Mr. Harlan?" one asked. Brock scrambled up, pointing accusingly. "He assaulted me." But the videos from patrons told a different story. As the officers cuffed Brock, Elias knelt by Tommy. "See, buddy? Sometimes strength isn't about fighting. It's about protecting what matters." Tommy hugged him tight. "You're my hero, Dad." Mrs. Jenkins approached, whispering, "I always knew there was more to you, Elias. That limp, it's from service, isn't it?" He nodded modestly. Word spread like wildfire through the town. By evening, the local news picked it up: "Local hero humiliates bully without throwing a punch." Reporters dug into Elias's past, uncovering declassified snippets of his Delta Force exploits. Headlines screamed, "Bully slaps single dad, unaware he's a Delta legend." Strangers stopped him on the street, thanking him for his service. But Elias shied away from the spotlight. At home that night, as he tucked Tommy in, his son asked, "Dad, were you really a soldier?" Elias sighed, pulling out an old photo album. "Yeah, kiddo. But the real battles are the ones we fight every day. Like missing mom, or standing up to mean people without becoming one." Tommy's eyes sparkled. "I wanna be like you when I grow up." The incident changed more than just Elias's quiet life. Brock, after a night in jail, showed up at the mechanic shop a week later, hat in hand. "Look, man. I was out of line. Lost my job, my girl left me. Seeing you with your kid, it hit me. I got anger issues from my old man." Elias listened, then offered a handshake. "We all do. There's a veterans group in town, helps with that stuff. Come if you want." Brock did, and over months, he turned his life around, even volunteering at Tommy's school. Elias found himself opening up too, sharing Sarah's story in support groups for single parents. He started a small self-defense class for kids, teaching de-escalation over violence. True power, he'd say, is knowing when not to use it. Challenges piled on, though. The media frenzy brought old ghosts. Nightmares of lost comrades, the guilt of surviving. Tommy had questions about death, about why mom was gone. Elias faced them head-on, turning pain into lessons. One night, after a tough day, Tommy found Elias staring at Sarah's photo. "Do you miss being a soldier, Dad?" Elias shook his head. "No, son. This, is my mission now." They built a volcano for the science fair together, laughing as baking soda erupted. It was messy, imperfect, but real. As the town healed, so did Elias. He met a woman at the support group, a widow named Lena, with a daughter Tommy's age. It wasn't love at first sight, but a slow build of shared understanding. They picnicked as families, blending their worlds gently. Brock became an unlikely friend, helping Elias fix up the house. Life wasn't perfect, Elias's knee still ached on rainy days, and Tommy's bedtime stories often veered into "what if mom comes back?" But they resolved each hurdle with patience, turning scars into stories. In the end, that slap in the cafe wasn't just a moment of humiliation, it was a catalyst. It reminded Elias that legends aren't born in battlefields alone, they're forged in everyday acts of courage, like choosing kindness over chaos. And for the town, it was a wake-up call: never judge a book by its cover, because the quiet ones often carry the heaviest loads with the greatest grace. If this story of hidden strength and redemption moved you, hit that like button. It means the world to creators like me sharing tales of real heroism. And if you want more inspiring stories that jolt your heart and leave you thinking, subscribe to the channel right now. Who knows? The next legend might be sitting right next to you in a cafe. Thanks for watching, stay strong, stay kind.